violate the privacy of an individual. Shut your mouth, no man. You don't have nothing to say.
You know, and I'm not going to sit here for...
nothing to offer.
Right. So,
hey, there's
Senator...
No, he's just babbling on. He's just babbling on.
All right, Senator Bunting, focus. Focus here. All right.
So, what abilities? Whether the trustee has access to that report, because to my mind, in order for him to ensure that he can pursue all the assets that properly should be in the SSL pool and that can ultimately be available to settle the obligations of SSL to hundreds of Jamaicans, many of them older persons who will be totally devastated if they can't get back substantial sums of their money, or even not so old persons, but who have substantial exposure, and no matter how wealthy you may be, losing billions is going to hurt very badly, not just the individual, but the reputation of Jamaica and our investment climate. Remember, this was a regulated institution. This was not just any ordinary institution. This was a regulated institution.
Regulated by government.
Regulated by government, regulated by the FSC. An institution that had been on the ladder of compliance of the regulator for a very long time. An institution that got a final warning in 2017 when the chairman, I believe then, was Howard Mitchell. And within a few months, with a change of the board and a change of the executive director, all restrictions were lifted. All restrictions were lifted. And then we have come to later have the debacle that is referred to as SSL. I believe we must have, or certainly the public deserves to have, access to the Kroll report to know the truth of what happened at SSL. And the government has been finding every excuse why not to publish it. But I believe the trustee, if we are to do any justice to these 200 and odd persons who are facing maybe getting a few cents on the dollar, if we are to do justice to these 200 persons...
All right, Senator Bunting, let me hear what the point of order is, please. Senator Fitz-Henley, what's the point of order?
His mic is on.
Pardon me?
Yes, his mic is on. Anyway, the standing orders forbids imputing motive against members of the House. The Senator suggested that the government is trying to use every excuse to prevent proffering information into the public domain. The member is not only, in my view, violating the standing orders in terms of imputing motive to members of the House, he's also misleading the Senate, because what he has alleged is false. It's not true. The government has been taking unprecedented steps regarding this SSL matter and hired international assistance, never done before regarding any financial issue in this country. Therefore, when the member seeks to allege that the government is seeking to hide information from the public, he's not only misleading the Senate, but the people of Jamaica. I invite you to have him comport his posture, sir, in accordance with what is true. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Thank you. Thank you, Senator Fitz-Henley. Senator Bunting, so you know that the standing orders speak to certain things about improper motives to member of either house. So,
Which member
yes,
did I?
I'm just telling you that having regard to the comments that you're making, just bear those standing orders in mind when you proceed. Thank you. Go ahead, Senator Bunting.
Yes. The government has made unprecedented efforts. That is true. They've made unprecedented efforts to suppress the Kroll report, to suppress the report of the FSC.
Senator Bunting, hold a second now. No, no.
No, but
No, that is, hold a second, man. Senator Bunting,
yes.
the words that you are using is really casting motive. It is. It is.
Suppress cast a motive.
Because there may be, what you are insinuating by that, is that there is some underhanded type of activity. But just as we dealt with the standing orders this morning, when I say that there is a process by which things have to go through, I believe that in some previous debate that we had where Senator Brown was speaking about the firearms bill, it has to go through a process before it.
Firearm bill?
Yes, sir. It has to be gazetted. And you had raised some questions at that particular time. There are processes through which things have to go through. There are other issues that may arise. To say that it is a suppression is casting an improper motive. All right? So I just ask you to just temper your commentary in that regard, because there may be issues that speak to confidentiality. It is not that you want to suppress. You don't want to suppress it, but you have to bear those things in mind. So I'm just asking you to be careful with your commentary, Senator Bunting.
All right, thank you, Mr. President.
Stick within the standing orders because you know that they are there. All right?
We can't criticize the government. What sense it makes to have the Senate? Call the elections.
We're debating the report on the Insolvency Act. SSL is a current example of how the Insolvency Act is operating. The trustee, in fact, the trustee appointed under the Insolvency Act has been given precedence over the FSC's manager, the regulator's manager in this particular case. So it is a very relevant example of the matters that we are discussing here. And whether, if you want me to withdraw saying the government has suppressed the two reports, well, the government has refused to make the reports available to either the trustee or the public. Now, the public is left to draw their own conclusion. Of course, there may be confidential. Of course, there may be confidential information. You may not want to publish everything. It can be redacted, and it is common practice to redact